The wrecked police cruiser hissed on Highway 41. Jonah Reed, a homeless drifter, skidded to a stop. Detective Mara Hensley lay dying, fingers trembling as she pressed a black box into his palm. "Don't let them find it," she gasped. Behind Jonah, boots scraped the asphalt. Someone else was already there. Jonah Reed hadn't touched something this valuable in years. A black box, warm with Detective Mara's fading heartbeat. As he lifted her into his arms, a memory stabbed through him. His brother, Tyler, bleeding out in a back alley while cops claimed it was a drug mistake. Jonah knew better. He'd been running from that night ever since. Mara coughed, gripping his jacket. "Listen, I followed the money. Varek, precinct. Dirty, they'll hunt you." Jonah swallowed hard. He'd spent years invisible on purpose. Being unseen meant staying alive. But now a dying cop was trusting him, a man everyone crossed the street to avoid. He ripped off his flannel, pressing it to her wound as sirens echoed far to close. Not rescue sirens, enforcement sirens. She struggled to speak. "If they take this box, Tyler's death stays buried forever." Jonah froze. She knew his brother's name. Before he could ask how, her hand slipped from his. Dropping against the cold pavement, a shadow moved across the flames. "Before we continue, if this story reached your heart, tap like, subscribe, and drop your country below. I love seeing how far these stories travel." Jonah tightened his grip around the black box. He'd promised himself he'd never run again. Not from the truth, not from Tyler, not from whatever Mara had uncovered. The sirens cut off suddenly, and Jonah realized the cars had stopped only 20 feet behind him. Someone was stepping out slow, deliberate, armed. The car door clicked open with a calmness that didn't belong on a burning highway. Jonah shielded Mara's body, ready to fight or flee. But then a familiar face stepped into the flashing light. Captain Rowan Hale, the one cop Jonah actually trusted. He'd given Jonah coffee on cold nights, spoken to him like a human, even asked about Tyler once. If anyone could help, it was him. "Jonah," Rowan said softly, raising both hands. "You did the right thing. Give me the box. Let me get her help." Jonah's chest loosened. For the first time in years, he felt safe. He placed a hand over Mara's black box, hesitating only a second before extending it toward Rowan. But Rowan didn't lean forward. Two armed officers stepped out from behind him, rifles raised, safeties off. Jonah froze. "Captain." Rowan's face hardened into something Jonah had never seen. Cold authority, not compassion. "Mara shouldn't have involved a civilian," he said. "Especially you. The box belongs to the precinct." "Step away." A chill crawled up Jonah's spine. This wasn't a rescue. It was a recovery mission. And then Rowan said the words that shattered everything. "She gave it to you because she trusted you." That was her mistake. Jonah staggered back, betrayal cutting deeper than any bullet ever could. Every instinct screamed, "Run." But the rifles clicked, ready to fire. Rowan lifted one hand, preparing to give the order when Mara's bloodied fingers suddenly twitched, pointing directly at him. Jonah's heart pounded as Mara's trembling hand pointed at Captain Rowan Hale. The air between them thickened, metallic with fear and adrenaline. Every instinct screamed for him to run, but leaving Mara meant certain death. "Stay behind me," Jonah whispered, gripping her arm as the rifles trained on them. Rowan's cold gaze didn't waver. He didn't flinch. He had the precision of a predator who believed he was untouchable. The black box burned in Jonah's jacket pocket, a small device holding evidence, powerful enough to topple careers and expose corruption. That reached all the way to Victor Dravos. Jonah's mind raced. Mara had told him to protect it, yet the precinct itself had turned against them. Every ally now seemed a potential enemy. A sudden noise made them flinch, a distant rumble of engines, echoing through the empty highway. Jonah realized it wasn't just the police. Someone else was coming. Shadowy figures emerged from the trees, their silhouettes familiar. Mara gasped, It's them. Conrad Steele's hit squad." Panic rose in Jonah like wildfire. The shooters had split the highway into a cage. The night was closing in. Mara tried to rise, but pain shot through her side. "I can't," she gasped. Jonah gritted his teeth and lifted her, feeling every ounce of her weight. Each heartbeat a countdown. They moved between the rifles. Jonah praying the small bursts of movement and shadow would confuse the shooters. But with every step, the truth pressed in. The precinct wanted that black box dead or buried. Jonah's mind flashed back to Tyler's death. The same ruthless efficiency. The same betrayal. Then came a sudden crack. A bullet ricocheted from the asphalt, sending sparks near Jonah's feet. Mara cried out, clutching him. His pulse raced, his stomach knotted. If they were caught, both would die before the night ended. In a desperate gamble, Jonah darted toward the darkened alley beside the highway, dragging Mara behind him. He could hear Rowan's voice, sharp and furious. Stop them. They have the box. Jonah glanced at Mara. Her face was pale, eyes wide with terror, yet there was a glimmer of trust. As they rounded the corner, Jonah froze because in the shadows, standing silently, was a figure holding a gun, and it was someone he never expected to see alive. Jonah's breath came in ragged bursts as the shadow stepped forward. It wasn't a stranger. It was Travis Reed, his own brother, smoking a pistol that gleamed under the streetlight. Jonah's mind reeled. Travis, you're alive? Travis's jaw tightened. Barely. And I've been waiting for this moment. His eyes flicked to Mara Hensley, still clinging to Jonah. You have no idea what they've done, or what you're carrying. Jonah's hands clenched the black box. It's evidence, Travis. Proof of every execution, every corrupt move Victor Dravos and his cronies made. We can bring them down. Travis shook his head slowly, a pained smile twisting his features. You think it's that simple? That box, it's more than evidence. It's bait. Conrad Steele, Rowan. They set this trap knowing someone would try to protect it. They wanted blood. Mara groaned, pressing her side as Jonah knelt beside her. Then why didn't you warn me? She gasped. I tried, Travis said quietly. But even I didn't know who could be trusted. Not until tonight. Outside, engines roared. Rowan and Conrad's men were closing in, but Jonah's resolve hardened. We expose them tonight, or everyone dies. No more running. Travis glanced at Jonah, a silent plea in his eyes. Jonah nodded. Together, they formed a line to brothers and a dying detective against the corruption that had haunted their lives. Shots rang out. Mara's voice trembled. Do it. Before the black box clicked, its recording transmitting live. Detective Hensley's confession, Victor Dravos orders, and the execution plans streamed online for the world to see. Rowan's eyes widened. Conrad's fury erupted. And then Jonah understood the final truth. The real betrayal wasn't Travis, not Rowan. It was the system itself, engineered to devour anyone brave enough to expose it. Mara's hand tightened on Jonah's arm. This changes everything, she whispered. From the alley shadows, a figure stepped forward. Victor Dravos himself, smiling coldly, as if he had been waiting for this moment all along. The chaos of the night faded into distant sirens. Jonah Reed, bruised and bloodied, leaned against the alley wall as Mara Hensley's breathing finally steadied. The black box, now safely in the hands of independent authorities, had exposed Victor Dravos and the corrupt precinct. Justice, fragile and delayed, had arrived. Travis Reed stood beside Jonah, silent for once, his usual edge softened by relief. We did it, Jonah said quietly, as if speaking louder would shatter the fragile calm. Tyler's death. It finally means something. Mara winced as she sat up, her hand resting on the black box. I couldn't have survived this without you, she whispered. Without both of you. If you're still here, you feel it too. Hit like, subscribe, and drop your country in the comments, because stories like this remind us courage can come from the most unexpected places. The precinct was in chaos. Rowan Cade and Conrad Steele were under investigation. Victor Dravos was facing charges, and the public had rallied around Jonah and Mara's story. Jonah, once invisible to the world, now had a name that carried respect and awe. And if you're still listening, stay with me, hit like and drop your flag in the comments. Weeks later, Jonah and Travis rode out on their motorcycles along the empty highways, the wind on their faces, a symbolic freedom after a life of shadows. Mara, recovering but resolute, joined them for the charity ride she had organized, telling the world the truth about corruption, survival, and courage. Jonah glanced at Mara. She gave a small nod, acknowledging the unspoken bond formed in blood and fire. Justice had been achieved. But the journey left scars, visible and invisible. Jonah pressed the throttle, feeling the wind roar past. The highways were no longer a place to hide. They were a place to write into legend.